Most of us were 19, right? Because Emily, Emma, and Nicole all were 19 when they died, unfortunately.
In high school, we had a really tight group of like 7 people. And then by the time we got to sophomore year of college, 3 of those people had died.
Bathroom crying became a new favorite hobby of mine. It's ended up being one of those like three little bears kind of things where it's like I found the perfect size bathroom. Like I would evaluate like toilet stalls on their like perfect capabilities for like a good cry. But if it's too big of a toilet, you feel like you're like, I got too much space for this, like I need like more. But then if it's too cramped, you're like, it has to be just right. Like baby bear's bathroom. Just right.
Oh yeah, I have to graduate college.
It wasn't super understanding just because they don't have any systems in place at school for like, oh, like if a kid's parent dies or if their friend dies or anything like that, which I think is absolutely nuts because that happens.
Grief tests every relationship, even the strongest, friendships especially.
Basically, like in like the darkness, like the worst space that I'd been in. And I was just surrounded by these people who had completely forgotten and like had no idea. And these people who I thought like, you should be able to tell. Like I can tell when you're sad. Like you should be able to tell like how much I'm struggling right now. That I was like, if they can't see it, then you know what, they don't deserve to know. And, like they don't deserve to know, which was not a healthy way to go about it, because then that was a lot more hiding and being like, you know what, fuck you, I don't need you. I don't need you at all. I can be miserable all by myself. Who needs company?
Like my immediate friends also like were really good friends with her. In some cases, they understood what I was going through at school, and they were able to give me the kind of space that I wanted. I have friends who didn't, who just like had no idea what to do, which was frustrating. But obviously, like that's not their fault. Over the summer, like it was right before school started, I had to text my roommate saying like, "Hey, 2 of my friends just died. Like I'm not gonna be okay during the year, but that's like, you know, that has to be okay for you guys as well." And obviously they took it really well and were super supportive.
When somebody unknowingly asks how your day was, not knowing what you're dealing with.
And I'm still angry at a lot of people. I did not used to be an angry person. I can't distinguish like the pain of being so angry at the people who I thought were gonna, you know, notice and be there for me, and then just were absolutely not, from like the experience of like the pain of like losing her, that I can't even talk about it with these people anymore. And I was like, I've never felt so like alone and angry and frustrated. And I feel like before everything I kind of saw the best in people, and I had this sort of feeling that, you know, now I'm cynical and I don't expect anything. Just like, no, like the people who I thought were gonna be there for me were just not, and that was shit.
Because it really affects like all of your relationships, and like it's hard like feeling like you can't support people as much as you want to, or like as much as you usually do. I had no idea how I was supposed to feel, and then like I ended up kind of like censoring that a lot, and then not knowing like, oh, like maybe they know better than me, like maybe I am like too sad or not sad enough, or expressing it in the wrong way or something. Feeling like that's like really selfish, that like you're taking other people's energy and like you're not really giving much back.
I mean, I don't have generalized anxiety, but there are very specific things that are triggers for me. If somebody texts me and is like, hey, can you talk soon? And we haven't set up a time to talk and there's not really a context, then I do immediately think that there's something wrong. But I'm kind of able to deal with that, I'd say, better than like earlier.
Sleep, aka subconscious torment.
It's like my main anxiety is losing other people in my life, and so I'd have a lot of dreams where somebody in my life died, and I like was either trying to prevent that or was dealing with it after they died. And anyways, those were pretty stressful. Also stressful to wake up from. So that's kind of how it impacted my sleep. Not necessarily the number of hours I was getting, but like how restful it was and how much I wanted to fall asleep versus not, and like how it was to wake up.
I would call them reverse nightmares because like the dreams themselves were good, because like in the dreams when they were alive and we were together, and then I would wake up and realize that it wasn't true, and then I would have dreams that like in the dream I knew that they were dead, but I wasn't allowed to tell them.
Who the fuck am I?
I don't know, I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I feel like I'm a better person now, and sometimes I feel like I'm a worse person now, and I'm not really sure which is true. I think I'm more honest now than I used to be.
It's as if like they're like, yeah, you're still exactly the same as you were freshman year. Like, oh, classic you, nothing's changed. And I'm like, fuck you.
If you were curious about what not to say,
Yeah, absolute worst thing is to say, things happen for a reason. It's basically saying your friend died for something to happen in your future, and you're like, what? And it's disrespectful to them as an individual, and probably like to everybody else who knew them. After all of this happening, I don't think I'll ever be able to think that, just because I'll never be able to find a reason for why any of like those three died.
so death is definitely real, but what the fuck is life?
Before I had lost somebody really close to me, it was really easy just to like be like, oh yeah, like there's no such thing as an afterlife. Like I'm really into science, and so I can be like, oh, like, you know, like it was easy for me to be like, no, that doesn't exist, because I didn't have a reason to want it. And so for me now, it's just like I still like I have no idea.
There's some people who talk around and be like, yeah, you know, she's, you know, he can, you know, the idea of like watching over your shoulder, being there, and like, yes, that would be nice, but there's also this like, I don't know, I feel like I've become a really shitty person, and I wouldn't want her to see that. So there's this like comfort in at least what I believe, and that she's just, you know, not here anymore, and I hate that. But also like I need that space. I don't know. It's a Google way to be like, how to help a friend who's grieving.
Being willing to like sit there while somebody talks or vents, and not needing to fix it because you can't change that situation, and the person needs to grieve however they need to grieve, but just being willing to accept wherever they are and help them and be with them in that place, like, that's really helpful.
Everyone in the world is going through something horrible, and if they're not, or has gone through something horrible, and if they haven't yet, unfortunately it's gonna happen. Also, please don't complain that your nails chipped or something and you're like, it's the worst thing ever. Like, don't say that. Or don't complain that it's raining in Hawaii. Oh my god. Try to be understanding and don't be a dick.
Even 2 years later, it still fucking sucks. It's different, but it'll always be there.
This is my cat, Ella. She's really fat. We've had her for a while.